We are
Back.
live. Hooray. Cool. All right. I see audio from me.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
I got a sub already from Blizzrad and from Victoria. Thanks so much for the support, guys. Really appreciate you guys. For those of you who are hanging out in chat, and if you haven't joined us before, just so you know, any monetary support, any my Twitch payouts, my YouTube payouts, all that stuff, everything goes 100% to stackup.org. And did you get an ad? Oh, geez. But yeah, any and all monetization from my channels, my content, whether it's YouTube videos or us here on the podcast, goes 100% to stackup.org. So thanks so much for the support. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much for everybody who joined us from the captain's table for joining us on Pathfinders. Hi. Glad you guys could come hang out. This is a bit of a marathon for Naz and I. We're going to be going for like 6+ hours.
You're hilarious. I mean, this is just my training session.
Yeah, see, we're helping. We're practicing. Yep. Yeah.
And
yeah,
I did like truck work today, so
oof.
Unloading and like most companies that I know of, well, at least I assume. No, I know most companies I know of, when they get a truck, it's on a pallet. For some reason, the department store I work for, no pallets. They just chuck it in the truck, and so just full of boxes, just all over the place. I'm surprised more stuff doesn't come in completely shattered.
Yeah. Well, we are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous development. Nebulous. I'll drink here in a second. Surrounding Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and their development. And so, yeah, we cover the monthly reports, we cover the roadmap roundups, and all the development updates. We do deep dives into the development of key features and technology. And so this evening, we're going to take a look at the October 4th, 2023 roadmap roundup and the changes on the progress tracker. We'll have a little bit to say about that because Naz and I, along with Shiny Hobo, have had a conversation. Shiny Hobo is the one who does the Shiny Tracker. And we're like, what gives? Where progress tracker changes? Where's all that going? We're also going to read through the post from Benoit about the separation for the replication layer that we talked about earlier, as well as the comments in that post, which are important, and put them into context, with what was said in the post-mortem, the first couple paragraphs. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about 321. What we can expect from 321, what the current things with the jump points in 321 mean, and what we can expect going forward. Yeah, more importantly, what they don't mean, but also to remind everybody that what we have in 321 isn't everything that's going into 321. It just got added to the release view, and Xylo was very made that point in one of the comments that we'll take a look at in the Spectrum post.
And then not today, but was it Monday? Monthly reports?
Yep.
It was Monday.
Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. Nazeris and I will be going through the September monthly reports for Star Citizen and Squadron 42. And then the following Monday, the Monday before CitizenCon, Naz and I are going to be going over our CitizenCon expectations.
What day do you fly out?
Friday morning.
Okay. So you got a week to pack, almost.
Yeah, I'll be getting there Friday morning, landing just before 9 o'clock Pacific, I think it is, and going to my hotel, checking in, getting comfortable, and then I guess there's the bar Citizen the night before.
I thought you were saying as check hotel.
Yeah. So thank you to the U.S. Army. So I spent 3 months on active duty earlier this year and got put up in a hotel by the Army the entire time. Yeah, Dell, there is a bar Citizen on, it's 20 and 21. So Friday and Saturday night, if I'm not incorrect.
Because there's that big one on Sunday.
Yeah, there's
VIP event.
the VIP event afterwards, but there's Bar Citizen Friday night and Saturday night. I will find the link and share it in chat because I saw it on Twitter, and I'll also put it in my Discord. Staticus, you're going to be at the CitizenCon. So, for those of you who don't know, when we do the relic hunts, I try to organize them as well to get people out there and go relic hunting.
Oh,
But I like to go relic
nice.
hunting. Oh, cool. Fun. You're working the Bar Citizen or CitizenCon? But yeah, so for the relic hunts, I like to take out my perfect Northern Trooper. Thanks so much. You clutch post, man. When we do the relic hunts, I like to take out my Valkyrie and go do the relic hunts that way and do hot drops and everything. And my Valkyrie is aptly nicknamed the Vomit Comet due to my sometimes erratic flying. And so I had some art commissioned, and I turned that art into a patch. So here are the patches. It's I have a green screen, so that's why it looks funny. But where you see it's clear, it's actually olive drab. But I'm bringing 24 of these patches with me. Or no, 25. I'll bring, because I ordered 50. And I'm bringing 25 of them with me. So I've got a couple of them earmarked for people that I'm going to be seeing them at the con, so probably about 20. So the first 20 people that come up and say hi and recognize me from watching the podcast and hanging out, and will get a patch if they want one. And I'm also having patches made along the same style for the art that I had made for the Loot Goblin, which is the name of my cutter for my 0 to Hero playthroughs. Yeah. Are you the one who keeps having roads built on their Valk during roads? Roads built on their Valk during the... I don't know what you mean by roads, Omega. But yeah, so they're high quality patches. They're super cool. I'm gonna have more patches made. I want to start a merch store for charity, and so sell the patches. I want to eventually have a Pathfinders podcast patch designed, a Armchair Admirals and Generals patch designed, and sell those, and the proceeds go to stackup.org. But yeah, Nazeris, what do you want to talk about what you've got going on before we get started with the roadmap?
Absolutely, because I need to tell way more people in the next 2 weeks. So tomorrow we have the fourth episode. Yeah, fourth episode of the Star Citizen Content Creators Roundtable, where it's me and 3 other content creators talking about whatever is relevant in Star Citizen at the time and just kind of how we're doing. And currently we're on the road to CitizenCon, so it's a 4-part special where we, basically focus the ideas on CitizenCon and see everyone's hopes and dreams and what they want CitizenCon this year to be. And then for CitizenCon itself, I will be doing a 48-hour stream starting an hour before the festivities and somehow, hopefully, lasting the entire time. There will be sleep had by all the 3 main hosts. We are not doing a sleepless 48 hours because that's irresponsible. However, there will always be a time where at least one of the hosts is on stream during the entire 48 hours. We'll also be inviting people who weren't able to make it to CitizenCon and who are just watching the streams to come on and talk in between panels and over the night. We'll also hopefully have some time to call people who are going to CitizenCon. So Tree, Tomato, I think Paul may have said Buster. No, is Buster going, or I forget if Buster's going or not?
Yeah, she's going.
Either way,
going.
Yeah, okay. So all 4 of them are signed up to be some of my on the ground reporters. So we'll call
coming to you
them
live.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll call them and see what other stuff is around that we are not able to see from the stage cams, or cam. There's only one, and that's gonna be happening the 21st and 2nd, an hour starting at least an hour before CitizenCon is scheduled to start. So currently it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, I think. Because when on the site there's that add to calendar, and so it added it to it added it to start at 9, so we'll be starting the stream at 8 currently. Again, we don't have the full schedule. Hopefully, they release it before the 15th, so I don't have to scramble to get an entire schedule done before the 15th. But they also said they're going to be doing, well, people assume there's going to be time between panels, so we'll be doing a lot of talking. That's when we'll be calling people and getting people on to do interviews and things. So if you are going or are not going, either way, and you're a content creator, I would love to hear from you if you guys want to come on and talk about CitizenCon as it's happening.
Awesome.
Or if you want a
Good
spot
stuff.
on Content Creators Roundtable. That too.
Yeah, no, I wish I could make it on there tomorrow, but two nights of lots of podcasting in a row would be a bit much.
It would have been 3 if you came on tomorrow.
Oh yeah, because Monday.
Yeah.
Gosh, I could be forgetting tomorrow Sunday.
Yeah,
no,
I'm not.
I will. I'll be on there. We will make it happen at some point. But yeah, all good stuff. Really looking forward to CitizenCon. It'll be really fun to be able to talk about things as they're going on. You know, a sort of live event it. You know. Yeah, try not to overdo it before CitizenCon. It's already going to be crazy. Yeah, I'm actually I'm not much of a drinker, so I will be fun. But I am very much looking forward to meeting a bunch of people and hanging out and having a bunch of fun. And there's actually like North End Trooper. Is there like 4 or 5 of us going? I forget how many from here in Boise. We have a little Bar Citizen Boise group,
Oh, neat.
and a bunch of us are going. So it's going to be, and I think 4 of us got VIP tickets. I can't remember. Oh, more ads. Gosh, why is there so many ads already? Weird. Sorry about the
Popular you
ads.
get.
Yeah. But yeah, just a reminder, if you hate the ads, you can always subscribe and you don't have to watch the ads, and all that money goes to charity. So but yeah. So, why don't we launch right into the Roadmap Roundup, and I will get us changed over into the other screen.
CitizenCon
No.
apparently had 8, 9. Jeez.
9 ads? Oh my gosh.
How?
I am so sorry. I haven't played around with controlling the ads, but I've never heard of that many. I
It keeps
apologize.
getting worse.
I'm sorry if there's a bunch of ads. If I could have there not be any ads and just do subs, I would.
Yeah.
But Twitch likes their money. Oh, changing the ad rotation. Yeah, it's really hard for me to keep track of all that stuff.
Okay.
Oof. Okay, so let's get into the Roadmap Roundup.
Oot. All right. As we are to do, we do like to read the headers if we are reading a document directly from Star Citizen or CIG, and that is to convey the purpose of the document in its entirety. So, as we are to do, the Roadmap Roundup header reads, Happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the Roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is a part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup, CIG community team.
Ooh, you know what I should have done?
Oh, so many things. What?
Well, because sometimes I don't think because they post this as a comm link or a Spectrum post as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's comments in there, and I can't remember if there were this time or not. Do you remember?
Well, it's linked to the bottom.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let's open that just in case.
Got you. I got you.
Yeah. Let's see. Just make
there's a
sure
thank you.
there aren't any dev comments. Always look for the yellow. Black and yellow.
Yeah.
Black and yellow. Okay. Nothing. Cool. Just make sure. All right. So I'll get started with this part. So this week, notable changes for October 4th, 2023. This week, we're introducing the 321 column to the roadmap, which will house features content that were previously listed for 320.x. And this is something that's a lot of people have gotten confused. They see things and they're like, oh, great, got delayed again, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. Didn't get delayed. Nothing changed. All they did was change the number of the patch, and they changed the number of the patch because of the separation of the replication layer during the 321 patch cycle. We've made the decision to...
Sorry, I forget where they said it was just basically nomenclature change because of the tech they're about to introduce.
Yeah, I think it's actually in this program or in this paragraph. We've made the decision to increment the Alpha 320.x patch nomenclature to Alpha 321. The primary reason for this increment is to signify Star Citizen approaching the next major milestone in its online networking technology, which warrants a proper step up. During the 321 patch cycle, what does that link go to? This goes to the Benoit post. Let's make sure.
Bolt CIG.
Yep. Okay. We're going to cover that in a second. During the 321 patch cycle, we will introduce a new testing channel aimed at graduating new underlying technology. This new channel allows the dev teams to get players on a version of the game that matches the current live release. So they're going to be testing the separation of the replication layer on the same 321 patch that you're already playing. So it shouldn't be any different other than the fact that the replication layer is separated and whatever issues that might bring in. But gameplay-wise, locations, features, same stuff. That matches the current live release in both content and features, but that introduces large tech changes. I said larg. That must be validated, graduated, and ultimately mission proven before making their way to a live release. In short, this is the next step towards server meshing after deploying persistent NAD streaming earlier this year. With the replication layer moving off of the game servers, this allows the game server to be an authority over a specific area rather than the entire game universe. So it allows it, but that's not what's happening in 321. It just allows for that. That's why it's the next major step before server meshing. The server mesher being an authority over a specific area is what server meshing is. While the player experience won't change much at first, the game server will stick with managing Stanton to start with. This is the major step forward to Alpha 4.0 and beyond. For more information on the replication layer, persistent NAD streaming, server meshing, and how this will affect the future of Star Citizen, please check out our panel from CitizenCon 2021. CitizenCon 2951, server meshing and the state of persistence. And if you don't want to watch that whole panel, because it's a really good information, but the guy has an accent, so it can be hard to follow, Space Tomato just put out a really great video summarizing all of it. And I've got a whole playlist of Ray's Guide summary of breaking down all the technology and how it works. And Ray's Guide is Ray's Guide is very technically savvy and does a really good job of making these things understandable. I like it. Is that your dog in the background on the couch with the leg?
Oh, she got on the couch.
Yeah. I saw the leg twitching.
Yeah, we need to figure out what's wrong with her.
But yeah, we're going to be talking more about this post here in the next segment and breaking down a little bit more about what that means from when we talked about briefly on Captain's Table.
All right, you want me to just run through 320? 21?
Yeah, sure.
All right. With this published, we are clarifying where each of the features previously slated for 320.x would land in the patch cycle. Below is the full list with a pair of new cards marked as such. All 3.20.0 cards have been marked as committed. Blah, blah, blah. Wow, okay. Through Alpha 3.21.0. New Crusader platforms. Adding 3 new points of interest on Crusader's atmosphere, providing new locations for missions and loot.
So these, along with the Retrieve Consignment missions, were delayed a little bit because of placing these platforms with Rastar was jacking up the mission. And that's why these were delayed. And so these new Crusader platforms were built with Rastar, but in doing so, it messed up the mission. And so they were going through and fixing that issue. But now they are in and working in the PTU. I haven't been able to get them yet. I've been trying to get them myself, but I'm excited for these.
So for some reason, Opera GX has a rephrase like Yoda button,
Hmm.
and so I did new mission retrieve consignment, and it translated to new missions retrieve consignment. You must.
Well,
I'm gonna be
the
using that button often.
retrieve consignment. This is like my gameplay for my zero to hero and my cutter. It's the logo is here. Well, I'll find it really quick.
Okay, I'll read through.
It's the loot goblin, and that's my zero to hero gameplay is going doing retrieval missions, and these are the updated retrieval missions. These are new retrieval missions, whereas the other ones often have a lot of bugs. So
Do they?
yeah, I've had lots of issues.
I very rarely have any bugs that aren't the 100% of everyone gets the bugs. I am for some reason pretty bug free on most games. Anyway, new mission, retrieve consignment. A new mission type where players are tasked with locating critical items in consignment lists, then safely extracting them. What that actually ends up being is go to a point and kill all the people there and find a data pad to open a thing that spits out these items. New mission, steal evidence. New! A criminal mission type where players are tasked with infiltrating security post Korea and stealing files from Crusader security for a hefty payout. Files. What files? Is this another stupid data hacking Tiger Claw clip thing? What do you? Is it a tablet? I don't know. I don't know anything about this one. Anyway, we're not gonna try and get angry. We're gonna try and not get angry. Crusader A1 Spirit. Building, balancing, and implementing Crusader Industries Light Bomber the A1 Spirit into the game. I'm actually slowly low simmering my hype for the A1s or the A series or the 1 series. There we go. I think I might do a lot of touring around with the C1. Maybe.
I think the C1's going to be a great ship. It's going to have a tractor beam. I forget I don't know if they ever denoted what size, but we're gonna find out a lot about the tractor beam size changes here pretty soon when that releases. But I think the C1's going to be a fun ship. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Does it have any crew areas? I forget.
I'll have to go back and look inside and see how much interior space it actually has, because I want to say it was like a bit bigger than a freelancer inside, but I can't remember. In terms of crew space, the livable space, Oh, Drac for EA says that it's a box that says confidential. So you get a box that has the. Okay, that reminds me of Zoolander. The files are in the computer. Because it's we're stealing files from Crusader security for a hefty payout. The files are in the box.
Okay. So it's built around the single hallway. Yeah. And after you get past the bulkhead, it's in the walls. The bed and stuff are in the walls. So it's all built on the two sides. Very nice.
And it's the latest Crusader ship. I think it should look really good. And Michael R.
Will
says
it have functional door
12
panels?
meters longer. Yeah. Well, at least there isn't an extra elevator. Yeah.
Speaking of door panels working, the Hull C actually has specific doors you can lock. So if everyone remembers the Hercules when it came out, all doors were lockable and lockable open. I don't know if you can lock the doors open on the Hull C, but you can lock them shut. It's a couple very specific doors. You can lock the one right behind the bridge, and you can lock the one to the spindle hallway.
Okay. Yeah,
it's very cool. They very specifically added those.
I don't own the Spirit, and Crusader really isn't my vibe. But out of all the Crusader, out of all the Crusader ships, I like the look of the Spirit the most. Because it's sleeker looking and more elongated versus rounded, whereas the Herc and the MSR are much more not rounded, but they're
disc-like, yeah.
disc-like squared off, and I feel like I think the reason that the spirit speaks to me more is because the shape
Size 3
language.
tractor beam.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has a track. I mean, the C1 has a tractor beam, so it's automatically the best.
No.
spirit.
No. The size 3 tractor beam. There is no C3. C3 is
Or,
above the C2.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
C1.
Yeah.
Um,
C1 has a size 3 tractor beam.
Yeah. Aether Drift says less bulbous looking. Yeah, totally agree. And
MSR's a bloated frisbee. I know, but it's good though.
I think Space Tomato is the one that I saw say it first. He's like, the spirit gives off Normandy vibes, and I'm a huge.
Yes, that's what that shape is.
Yeah, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. I love the Normandy. I had a Normandy model, SR2 model, commissioned and 3D printed, that I'm going to end up putting on my shelves behind me.
Entrance. Nothing's allowed to be an apology for the MSR unless it has 2 doors on it, which I don't think the spirit does.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still only the rear entrance.
Yeah. No, it's the spirits should be great ships. The bombing via the spirit doesn't really interest me. I'm more interested in bombing, a la like bombs on wingtips on wing mounts versus like a bomb bay, where they're coming out like that. Yeah, the C1 definitely feels like it has its closer sleekness wise to the OG MSR.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, only smaller because of less space. But yeah,
I wonder what are they gonna have, like an RSI cutlass?
I could see it. Yeah, who knows?
Because I want a new RSI ship.
Northern Trooper, for the love of God, I want to see the spirits and the sneak peeks. Yeah, like how many times we've seen the Santok Eye, like what, 3-4 times already, and the Storm has been 3 times, and the same period, two of the 3 spirit variants have gone to final art, and we've got nothing. It's like, yeah. So yeah, so Alpha 321, and this is just what they've added so far. And I'll pull up that comment once we get to Benoit's post. I think it's in there, but there should be more getting added to Alpha 321 and 321.x. Maybe not to 321 just because it's supposed to release here in a couple of weeks. This is definitely the CitizenCon patch. The only thing that will be in there that isn't listed right now is if there's anything unannounced, like potentially a straight to flyable, a new straight to flyable for CitizenCon, which there usually is one. But gameplay wise, I don't think that there's going to be anything else added. So, but I definitely could see more stuff and more ships for sure getting added to 321.x. So let's take a look at that. So Alpha 321.x. Replication layer update. New. Over the course of the 321 patch cycle, the replication layer will be moved off of the game servers and set up as its own standalone service. That's the important part, is that right now the up to the moment entity state of what's going on in the server as it's stored on the replication layer and transmitted to everyone else dies with the server when the server crashes. And that's why this enables not only server meshing, but also enables the crash recovery to come later. In the short term, this allows for greater server recovery in the event of a crash. This is also the critical next step towards server meshing. And I'd like to learn more about we'll take a look at the comment about crash recovery in Benoit's post here in a few minutes. Our current goal is to release Alpha 321 ahead of launching the preview channel within the replication layer update. And this is the thing that people were confused about. They're like, okay, sweet. They'll launch 321 and then we'll have the replication layer right after that. And it's like, no, they're not going to start doing the preview channel, the testing channel, until 321 is launched. And 321 is definitely the CitizenCon patch. So sometime after October 20th, 21st, probably within the next few days or a week or so is when they will launch that testing channel with the replication layer update. And then my best guess is probably a few weeks to prove that out, because it's just us testing that patch. And then if we find something, they go into QA, they make a fix and they test it with QA and then put it out to us in the next, letter version of that 321.x, probably 321.1. But they're not testing new features in the preview channel. They're not testing new locations or anything. It's the exact same patch with only one difference. And so the testing for this patch and the iteration on it should go faster. Caveat, should go faster, should go smoother. That's why when people are like, oh, this is going to take 3 months, no, there's no way in hell. Because they're not testing an entirely new patch. They're not testing anything different except for this migration of this one service off the server. So obviously manage your own expectations, but I'm expecting a few weeks. I'm expecting that they'll want this to go live in order to be able to launch 321.x with these things for IAE, which starts several weeks after CitizenCon. I think it's like the second week of November. So it'd be like 3 weeks after CitizenCon. I'd have to look.
Okay, so lay out your timeline again. I got lost somewhere.
321, CitizenCon.
Yes.
October 21st, whatever. Yeah,
sure.
20. Yeah, and then 3 weeks later. So let's see. Here's CitizenCon right here this weekend, 321 or 1021, 1022, and then I believe. Let's see. It should be like it's usually like the third Thursday is when IAE starts. Something like that.
Okay.
And so IAE should start sometime like 16th, 17th, 18th, because it goes for 2 weeks or 10 days? I forget. Something like that. It'll essentially go from like the 16th to December 2nd, give or take. Well, if it starts on the 16th, that gives 1, 2, 3, almost 4 full weeks. It gives about 4 full weeks from when 321 goes live for them to do this testing, the preview channel testing of 321 with the replication layer. And
okay, so I thought you had said that 321x, 321.1 is when they start the TC.
No.
Like I said, I got lost. I'm like, I don't think that's what that said. Like like it's supposed to launch with the parity of 320, 321. Yeah. Okay, so we're on the same page. Cuckoo.
Yep. And then when they introduce 321.x with these features, the replication layer will have already been proven out and working. And then the issues with it should really only be anything associated with that patch, the .x patch, the features, locations, what have you, emissions. But they'll be testing the replication layer separation on the 321 patch. So that way, regardless of what you're playing, it's the same patch, just back-end differences. So, and then for clarification, so if, let's say 321.x launches, the November 16th with the replication layer separation having been tested for 4 weeks. Well, and then they start the testing in the preview channel for crash recovery. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least, depending on how soon they started after, they've got about a whole month, because Friday the 22nd is when CIG should be going on their holiday break. So essentially, they'll have 4 full weeks of testing the crash recovery, if they're going about it the same way, in the same manner, to just test one service.
So do you think we're going to be getting a 22?
Yep. I think we're going to be getting a 22. It's going to have a handful of things in it just like this, but they're going to be testing the crash recovery on 321.x before 322 launches. And so that way,
so you're saying with 21.0, we get the testing channel for the replication split.
Yep.
And then they merge that back when we get 21.1, and they
Yep.
test the crash recovery. And then 22 at the end of the year patch, and they merge in the crash recovery.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And so live for 322 before the holiday break, and we have replication layer separation and crash recovery having both gone through their paces. And I think that's the goal, is to have that. That's what we have for live over the holiday break. So it'll be all of this plus more things added into 321.x plus things added for 322, whatever that ends up being. Now the question is, what's going to be in 322? Is it just going to be, little bits, or do we think that there could be a feature of significance in 322? That's the hard thing. I don't know.
The biggest question
Lamont
is
972.
The biggest question is what needs to wait.
Yeah.
Like, we could sit here and read the roadmap all day. The question is, does anything need to wait because of server caps? Not like player caps, but like server performance caps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, can we get underground facility? Can we get a building interior? Well, building interior is not done yet. Like, what are we getting?
Mm-hmm.
And as we'll talk about later, the roadmap has been rather thin on details as of late.
Yeah. We're
no, are they gonna come out with a new roadmap at CitizenCon?
Oh god.
Because we've seen this before. We've seen this before where they just don't say anything and let the data run out, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, dropping new thing." Now that we're out of data on the last thing,
there are some. I mean, and for those of you who haven't watched before, roadmap cadence, we're at the beginning of a new quarter. So, in October, and probably towards the end, because Jake is busy as shit with CitizenCon, because the community team, they're the ones who organize it. But yeah, at the beginning of the quarter is when you get the updates for the upstream and downstream teams, when they add those to the progress tracker. So we should be getting the Q4 schedule for the downstream teams. But we haven't gotten anything for the upstream teams past Q4, and a good number of upstream teams, which we're going to look at here in a minute, don't have their schedule for Q4, when those upstream teams should have had their full schedule for Q4 in Q2, at the beginning of Q2. So yeah. And we are behind.
We should just call Shiny. Hey, you want to rant about how the roadmap's not telling you anything for a minute?
Yeah, because we had Naz and I have an ongoing conversation with Shiny Hobo of Shinytracker, and we're like, what's going on? Because we have not had.
And he's about ready to throw in the towel on the stupid tracker. Like,
yeah,
that's how bad the data is.
Yeah, we'll show you here in a second. But yeah, so vehicle tractor beams, which is the gameplay feature that I'm most excited for and have been most excited for a long time. I think the X1 Haldur, I think we're going to see the X1 as the 322 straight to flyable. Or not straight to flyable, but new flyable ship in 322.
Yeah.
I think they can get it done in that amount of time. Plus, there could potentially be an unannounced. I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, they are way too good at origin ships for the X1 to take like more than a couple of quarters.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited about vehicle tractor beams. I've covered them multiple times. I'm hoping that when ISC comes back online, we'll get a big update as part of IAE on vehicle tractor beam gameplay and the ships that are getting them and all that sort of stuff, just to clarify some things. But implementing tractor beams attached to ships, either remote operated, like on the Hull C, or a turret-like attachment, which is the Taurus. And I believe, I don't know if, I thought the Reclaimer was supposed to have tractor beam turrets, but I can't remember. I haven't been in it for forever. But definitely in the Taurus. So this makes me think the Taurus is getting them, but they wasn't mentioned in the monthly report when they talked about it. This allows players to move and tow bigger objects, including other ships. Tumbrel's Storm. Building, implementing, and balancing Tumbrel's light tank, the Storm is a game-ready vehicle. Crusader C1 Spirit. Building, balancing, and implementing Crusader Industries' small multi-crew cargo ship, the C1 Spirit, into game. Argo SRV. Yes. I can't wait to have the Argo SRV. I love the raft. I absolutely adore the raft, especially the interior. And I like the mole too, even though it's, it could use a little bit of improvement, but I think the mole's a great ship. I love everything Argo. But I hope the interior for the SRV gets as much love as the raft did. Building, implementing, and balancing Argo's tugboat, the SRV, as a game-ready vehicle. Yeah, so the reason I love the SRV is because it's the Star Citizen version of the tugboat, and as a young, small child, I didn't want to be a firefighter growing up. I didn't want to be an astronaut or a fighter pilot. I wanted to be a tugboat driver. So I get to live out my dreams of being a tugboat driver in space. Yeah, the X1 looks slick. I don't know how I feel about the upright seat after that sprint report.
So it's supposed to move. It's supposed to transform as you hit like flyable. It's supposed to move you down into a leaning forward position.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's
why everyone decided to forget that when like, oh, it's a wheelchair. It's like, no, guys, this is not the hovercraft for the elderly and infirm.
I have to sit upright so I can sip my tea or have my glass of wine.
No, it's still a bike.
Professor X's X1.
yeah, that people were going all sorts of. Oh, it's a not hover round, a moped, but like a scooter. It's like, guys, come on, guys. Before you start hating on it, go look what you're looking at.
Yep. So let's talk about the issue with the progress tracker and the upstream teams. So if you go to the Roadmap Companion, which is linked at the bottom of every Roadmap Roundup, right here.
What is it?
Yep, every time. It gives you to this big this big document that explains a whole lot about how the roadmap and the progress tracker work. And 99.99 repeating percentage of backers have never read this. Nazeris and I have read it a dozen times. And this it's
bookmarked and it's permanently open on my window I keep all the roadmap stuff open on.
Yeah. And this on top of our, at least weekly conversations with Shiny Hobo and Jake Acapella, Jake Bradley, the keeper of the roadmap and the progress tracker, is what gives us our understanding of how it all works. But if you scroll down, you see that there's a list of what teams are upstream and what teams are downstream. And I don't know if this has been updated, but it should be. Let's see. Yeah, it needs to have some updates, but because there's been a couple team name changes and stuff. But these are the upstream teams. And so the upstream teams are the ones where we are supposed to be able to have a year of their schedule on the progress tracker. So with a current quarter and like 3 quarters in advance. So essentially, if we should be able to see in through their schedule through the end of Q1 right now, because we haven't gotten the update to the schedule in October. Does that make sense? Yeah, these are the teams that we should be able to see far out. And these are all the downstream teams, the ones whose schedules we only get for each quarter. So at the beginning of a new quarter, so January and April, January and then April and then June, right? Yeah, beginning of January's month, April. Oh, and January, April, July, and October. Those are the months when the progress tracker gets their big updates, And at the beginning of those quarters is when these teams get their schedules for that quarter.
Supposedly.
Yeah. And that's also when these teams get their schedule for the furthest quarter out. So you can see, essentially, you can see 3 quarters ahead for these teams and 1 quarter for these teams. And so, Naz, do you have this up on your computer? You want to read off these teams to me, and we'll go through the teams view and see where their schedules are?
Sure. Right, try to figure out which on earth. Oh, it's the one that Lily says what it is. All right. Actor feature team.
Here's the active feature team.
Starting with
an upstream team. And we do not have their Q4 schedule.
We got 9.
We should have gotten their Q4 schedule at the beginning of Q2. And
you can
we got
also,
their schedule out to here, but that's it.
Yeah, you can also use control mouse wheel to get more map in there.
Do what?
In case you want. You can control mouse wheel to make it all smaller so you can see more time.
I'll scroll down that way people can see. But
I was saying for left, right. Anyway, EU landing zone 1.
Let's see. So to EU landing zone 1. All right. So this team, we have their Q4 schedule. The question is that we need to get answered is why normally these teams get scheduled out in advance. The big thing is that at the beginning of January is when the CIG goes through all their big planning meetings and plans the year ahead. And so I think that's why we haven't gotten the Q1 schedule for EU landing zone 1. Pardon me.
And if we're right, if all of the hopium smokers are right with Squadron coming at the end of next year, everyone does like cigarettes or whatever. Cigarettes or like not bongs. What are they called? The caterpillar thing. Anyway,
hookah.
That there's a song it's an Alice in Wonderland song that says hookah smoking caterpillar. Anyway, my hopium isn't still smoke. Anyway, I don't know how drugs work. That Squadron's coming out at the end of next year. The entire planning focus of the entire year is how can we get Star Citizen in a state for players that are going to play Squadron. That's going to be like the theme of the year.
Yeah. We got to do as much as we can to get SC up to parity with Squadron gameplay wise. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's already going to be a lot of sit down and fix the game next year because of the Aaron Roberts letter after Starfield. But moving down the list, EU landing zone 2.
Yep, we got the Q4 schedule.
EUPU gameplay feature team.
Got the Q4 schedule.
EU Sandbox 1 and 2.
We have the schedule for Sandbox 1, not for Sandbox 2.
Gameplay services team. Or game services team, sorry.
No Q4 schedule.
Live tools team.
No Q4 schedule.
Mission feature team.
We do have the Q4 schedule. Thank goodness, because this is what everybody should be pinning their hopes on right now in terms of more gameplay is more missions. More missions and more locations. That's what we're getting right now. Which is good. You know.
MTL Sandbox 1.
We have the Q4 schedule.
Systemic Services and Tools Team. Now, doesn't exist. That's become the something in economy team. What was the other team that split off?
It became the economy team, but my question is a bunch of their deliverables are not related to the economy.
Right.
So this is tinfoil hat. Everybody put on your tinfoil hat. Did this change because they got done what they needed to do for the services for Quantum, like the NPC scheduler service, the virtual AI service, the tracker service, all this sort of stuff, that they can now focus on the economy, and the economy is going to be getting a massive update. That's the tinfoil hat. because the economy team, if we go back up here, where is it? Didn't it get added?
Crazy Masterclass incoming. I hope so.
Where's the economy team? I thought they added it to the progress tracker. Oh, they have not added
Nope.
the economy team to the progress tracker. So
Interesting. kind of fueling my theory there.
but yeah, the AI services and such would not be necessarily be the purview of the economy team, because a lot of those services play into gameplay features that aren't necessarily part of the economy. And you know, the quantum system that isn't necessarily the economy. And they talked about how the economy team is going to be working. They mentioned it in the monthly report the last couple months, which is odd because they're already working, but they're not on here. That's how far behind we are on the progress tracker. Because it's like, what, 3 months now that we've had them?
Yeah.
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 So yeah, tinfoil hat, quantum.
USPU gameplay feature team.
Let's see. USPU gameplay feature team. This is a big one. No
Nothing.
Q4 schedule.
In fact, we've already leaped past it. I don't know. Vehicle feature team.
Vehicle feature team. No Q4 schedule. And
EU
this is
vehicle
the
content.
The vehicle feature team is the one that's more focused on squadron.
Mhm.
And then the vehicle gameplay feature team is the one that is now focused on the PU. So new team. And what did you say? Which one?
EU vehicle content.
EU vehicle content. What? Oh, vehicle content EU. That's what it.
Oh, is it okay?
Yep.
Is it labeled backwards? I thought that was
Yeah.
labeled backwards on here. Okay.
Vehicle content. We have Q4 for all three of those teams.
Just
Yep.
not Q3 or not. We should have Q3, but
Yeah.
we already had the theory of, well, they're just not scheduling past the
big planning
rescheduling.
meetings. Yeah.
But we're not getting a lot of other stuff, so that.
And I don't remember if they did that last year.
They didn't really. We haven't had a good year of roadmap.
Yeah.
Like it's been all over the place, and this is it for most of the year. For most last 2 years, it's been reasonably good, and they've been doing all this stuff. Even when they have to go through and nuke the roadmap when they reschedule stuff, they did that last year. I'm pretty sure. Hey, we're done with meetings, and we changed everything. Here's your update.
Here's this. Yeah, there was a bunch of changes, but we had the plan, and some things changed, some things didn't. We just don't have anything. And for a lot of teams, we was like, what, 4 or 5 teams that you just listed off that don't have their Q4 schedule, that should have their
weapon
Q4 schedule. Team. Oh, and the weapon feature team. Yep, no Q4 schedule.
There you go.
Yeah. We, and Shiny got a little bit salty with Jake about it, and it's understandable. I see Jake's point of view as well, because he's super busy. Sorry, not he. Jake is super busy. They are super busy with CitizenCon, but this schedule for these teams, those 4 or 5 teams at least, I think it was 5, maybe 6 teams, we should have had that schedule added during April.
Yeah,
because when during April you would have already had the Q1 schedule, and at the beginning of April you'd get the you would have already had all the way out to Q3, because you got here's how it works. So the beginning of January you get the full you get out to Q3 for the upstream teams, because you've got the previous quarter in arrears. And so the beginning of April, and during the April updates is when you would get the Q4 updates to the upstream teams. Macton, that's a really good point. So the progress tracker was borked twice. Once in May for several weeks, and then again in June for another week or two. And so that's it was during this time period, the May updates, when it was borked because those updates were delayed, that we should have gotten Q4. And so there's a chance that those things fell through the cracks during that period. And so that's why we'd like to give Jake the benefit of the doubt, and that's a really good point, Macton. Thanks for bringing that up. But at the same time, we've had how long to go through and check?
Yeah, and it's not like these
And we've
updates
brought
come
it up.
in once a quarter. It's just pulling the data from the internal schedule. So whenever that internal schedule exists, they just decided their cadence on when they pull them.
Mm-hmm.
I am more and more leaning towards this very tinfoil hatty theory I have of a new roadmap. Because
that might be something where it's not a new roadmap, but this is version whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the version's right there. It'll be version 2.
Sorry, the version that adds in the things that the Shinytracker does, or some of the things.
Yeah. And that's what I was about to say. Like, either it shows work scheduled, in which case I'm sure Shiny will not have any problem being out of a job. Like, it's something he enjoys doing, but it's because he wants to see it. I don't. As far as I know, I don't think he'd be too upset to actually have the data without having to do the extra work. Heck, he might still update his tools anyway.
Yeah.
But also, there's no sunsetting and there's no dependency graphs. And Jake said that that's one of the things that they really wanted on the roadmap tracker, the progress tracker, ever since they got working on it. So maybe it was time after they acquired Turbulent to like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, because
maybe it was something they were already working on.
Of the Turbulent web team.
Yeah. Jake updates it, Turbulent builds it. So any updates to the actual data that's being shown is Turbulent. Also, all the website stuff, server meshing, the integration of the chip matrix into game data, also Turbulent. Being able to use Spectrum in the game, also Turbulent.
Yep. They've got their plate full.
Yeah, even if they didn't acquire them, they were going to be using them for the next 10 years easily, and they had so much work for them. It was it was absolutely no-brainer to just like, hey, you just want all work for us? And so that we don't have to like put in requests for like bugs and things, and it's just like your dailies. So
I wonder what the...
Do they work to get acquired? Now they'll slow down. No. Now they don't have to wait for invoices to pass between the companies. Now it's just Chris is texting them at midnight saying, hey, I noticed this bug on the website.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the Shinytracker reports before we take a look at that replication layer post, because this is going to help reinforce what we were just talking about. So the changes via the Delta tracker, and that's the thing, is there's been very few changes on the Delta report, which changes via the Delta report. The Delta report tracks the changes on the progress tracker, but there's been very few changes in terms of deliverables added. And like the Steel Evidence mission is just it returning to the progress tracker. Like it fell off on accident, you know, but it was on there before.
Check mark.
Yeah. The biggest thing, biggest change is the returning of the Apollo back on the progress tracker and going into production. Hooray. Yeah. Super excited because I love the Apollo. And
if you don't like the Apollo, you don't like Star Citizen. It's simple as that.
That's exactly it. Yep. Yeah. And if you don't like the Apollo, get out. It's going into production. If you remember from the Invictus launch week, All View Equal Q&A, they talked about how the Apollo has already had its pre-production done, And so they just showed off in ISC the white box work that they're doing for it, and because they just got started with it. So I'm thinking I'm being reasonable by hoping for Apollo in, like around Invictus launch week next year, maybe a little bit after, summertime next year. The big thing is, what does this signify for medical gameplay and actor status tier 2?
Because you have a quote saved somewhere that they're so good at nailing down when they're going to get done with their ships, they can get it within a couple days. So within a week, they can say the ship's going to be done, and they will hit it. So they know exactly when the Apollo is getting done.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
No,
but yeah,
they know.
But their new pipeline is super accurate with them being able to estimate how much work and who needs to be scheduled when. So, because it's smaller than the Constellation. It's not a big ship. And the fact they're getting, it might take a little bit longer just because of its, they have a good amount of RSI style guide, but because of the med bay stuff, there might be some bespokeness that we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, because we don't have it. Well, no, they do have RSI medical stuff. It's in Squadron with the Bengal and the the other Bengals.
Yep. Yeah, the other Bengals.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if they are trying to time it to release with changes with more work on actor status tier 2 and medical gameplay tier 1. Maybe medical gameplay tier 1 is a feature that they're shooting for mid next year. Don't know.
Yeah, if we will probably see whatever spurred the Apollo at CitizenCon. Like that seems like a very valid, like they've been saying, hey, we're gonna be like doing stuff in cadence with features. So like, what are you doing, CG?
What are you up to over there? Hold on, someone asked about drones, and I have the tweet with the links and the pictures.
Will drones be ready? And Nick said we will probably get a big update after CitizenCon. No doubt. Whether that be the new roadmap as I tinfoil hat, or a just onslaught of here's everything we forgot to mention. Oops. All year.
But yeah, they have done the work on how drones are controlled as part of Squadron 42. And so that's my tinfoil. Yeah, that's my tinfoil hat as to why the Apollo is going back into production.
Oh, because not medical.
What's that?
Not medical. It's for drones.
I think it would be both, but I think that's part of why it got pulled. Is they're like, no, let's wait to do it until we do drones.
That'd be a weird one to put in first for drones, though.
I totally agree.
Like Vulcan is like all drone.
Yeah,
like everything.
And it doesn't even have the standard drones that they've done the asset for. Like they've made the asset.
We literally was it the Invictus trailer has the drone in the background?
The only difference is the drones for the Apollo are simpler and have much less functional gameplay, because all they do is go hover, pick up, take. There's no drone has to carry fuel and you have refueling gameplay. Drone has to carry a part or RMC and do repair. Drone has to carry a missile and mount it onto the ship.
I thought the drones for the Apollo were just beds. You had to put them on it. Like the drones don't pick up people. They're just hover beds.
They are Shepherd drones, but they're supposed to be automated. So via a UI, like a screen, you would target the downed person and send the Shepherd drone to go pick them up, and it would just go hover over them, and it uses like a tractor field to hold them in place, and then flies them back up and into the ship. But it's it's a very simple task. Both Drakia, am I saying it right? Both variants have the drones. The only difference between the triage and the medevac is the medevac has more armor, different paint scheme, and the missile launcher or missiles.
Did they have different bed configurations?
Nope. They're both modular bed configurations.
Well, yeah, but they came with the introducing pages down. There is no introduction. Well, not down. It's gone. The introduction of the Apollo pages are gone.
Oh, it's still there.
Apollo. What?
Yeah, I just looked at unless it very recently went away, but the
introducing the Apollo, the one that's okay, the one that is linked in the I can fix
when
this.
they did the around the verse on it, they did say it was either around the verse or they reversed the verse on it. They did say that the base at that time, the base Apollo would come with the tier 3 med base, so 3 tier 3 beds on each side. And so that's the other question is, will modularity come with the Apollo, and will you be able to, when they sell it again when it releases, will they sell the other med bays with as part of the actual release sale? So a lot of questions about the Apollo, a lot of questions to be answered. So
yeah, the introduction page does not exist.
hold on.
Can you pull it onto your screen? I need to get that shot from you. That stupid bangle. Dang. Such a cool shot.
Oh, I'll put it in our chat. Pardon me, sorry.
North Entry. What all ships have drones? CJ said Reclaimer, Carrick, Vulcan, Crucible, Apollo. 3? Oh. Reclaim 4.
There it is.
Interesting. Yeah, don't bookmark. I don't know. Ha! Yeah, it's not coming up in the search for the.
I just type the ship manufacturer, the ship name, and then transmission, and it automatically pulls up the concept transmission.
Rescue the Apollo. Oh, it might. This week in Star Citizen. This week in Star Citizen. This week in Star Citizen. Reverse. Ship shape and shipyard. Okay, you can only get to this page very specific ways, apparently. Man, I love the look of the new RSI. It's so good.
Shepard Medilift drones. Each Apollo comes equipped with 2 Medilift semi-automated emergency extraction pods, each capable of lifting up to 500 pounds quickly and securely from the ground to ship. Each drone is outfitted with payload preservation armor, auto gyro stabilization, and shock balance absorption technology to maximize patient safety and comfort through extraction. And this is just lore plot armor saying this is why you can't shoot them down. This is why flying around, bumping into things doesn't injure people more. That's all that is. But semi-autonomous just means that the way drones are supposed to work is that you give the drone a task and you give the drone a target and the drone flies out and it does the thing. And that's what they've explained to us previously. So when that changes, we'll let you know. So back to the Delta report. Obviously, the SRV changes, just from the roadmap changes. New interdiction scenarios. The end date is moved earlier. So basically, either these are getting done sooner or they removed work from it. One or the other. We don't know. Just the name changes again for these things. And that's it for the Delta report change. Now,
you want to quickly flip through the last 5 Deltas so that we can contextualize this lack of data.
Oh gosh.
If you just hit back twice on the headers, you'll go to scheduled deliverables, then back to Delta.
Okay,
or
so
you can do that too.
Yeah, this is 920. 3 deliverables updated, 1 deliverable added.
Back again.
9.6, 5 deliverables updated.
Nothing new, just 5 updated.
Just little updates. 8.23, 2 deliverables removed, and then 2 added. There's just the same thing. All they were doing was just changing things.
Yeah. Retiling
and then
them.
1 update. Yep, retiling. Yeah.
And again.
August 9th.
This was the last update we had.
this is the last one, and 59 deliverables updated, and a lot of this was this was
This was a
the
squadron
downstream.
update.
This is the downstream teams getting their update finally. So yeah, it's all just squadron stuff. Yep.
And then previous to that, it was stuff that we were shown already.
Yep. So yeah,
it's very strange. Very, very strange.
the other thing that's really poignant is if you go to the scheduled deliverables report, you can just scroll down here and you can see how many deliverables have this scheduled work ending soon, largely because the progress tracker hasn't been updated. Scheduled work ending soon, scheduled work ending soon. Just a whole litany of
Squadron's
things.
almost done.
Yeah. And a lot of it's squadron things, but a lot of it's things on downstream teams, so we are overdue for a very big update. RSI Polaris, 8 art devs and 1 designer currently working on it. Hell yeah.
That's not the same, is it? That's not.
Okay, so let's.
No, okay.
You have anything else you want to add?
When did we see the white box of the Polaris?
The new Polaris white box was back in November of last year during IAE.
Oh.
And then went into production. Went into pre-production in April, and real production in like June.
Yeah, remember when we said it would take them a year to get the Polaris done at their current state when we were making that episode?
Mm-hmm.
They're at 9 months.
No, they're not.
Yeah, pre-production started in April.
That's not 9 months ago.
Oh, okay, they'll be at 9 months in December. Sorry, we're reading what the current roadmap says.
Yep. Well, it went into pre-production in April, and it went into like legitimate production in June.
Pre-production was done. Pre-production is all the way through white box.
No. Pre-production is just them. Hey, going through. This is the concept that we have. Here's the plan going forward for it, and then you go into production. But they already had like a lot of the white box work done. Pre-production isn't white box. Pre-production is just the planning phase to make to figure out, okay, what all do we need to do for this. They said it at Invictus Launch Week, and then the all vehicle Q&A. They're like, it's on the progress tracker. It's in pre-production. It's going into full production soon, and then they reconfirmed that like in June that it is now in production, but it was in pre-production for like last month and some change, whatever it was.
So June
so essentially
is when we last saw it.
Yeah, and so essentially Invictus Launch Week to Invictus Launch Week would be a whole year of production.
Ooh, boy.
Yep. Just saying, I'm calling it.
We get two RSI ships for Invictus.
That could be cool. Oh.
And that's still assuming that they had to spend the entire year on it, and they haven't gotten any faster.
Yep. Don't know. We better see lots of Polaris updates as it goes through production. If we don't, I'm gonna riot and fling poop.
We'll see it the last quarter of production.
Yeah.
On ISCs. Where did my Starchive bookmark go?
All right. So that's it for the October 4th Roadmap Roundup, and quantifying the issues with the progress tracker right now, and how we're overdue for an update. And hopefully we're going to get one during this month, a big update during this month. or at least some information on why we're behind. Obviously, got to give CIG and Jake the benefit of the doubt because it's got a lot on their plate, but we shall see. And so let's go and we'll take a look at the replication layer post from Benoit, who Benoit Beausejour, or however you say that, is the chief technical officer for CIG. And he was like the COO or the CEO of Turbulent Games, like one of the head execs or Turbulent Studio. So goes by Balt CIG. Do you want to read that? Since I just did this,
Sure.
While you're reading through that, I'm gonna go get some more water. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's a PT update. Clicked on the wrong
Another one?
Yeah.
Like just now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know when it hit. I just clicked the wrong thing and it was there. I lost the page. Oh wait, I know where it is. It's over there, and over.
North End Trooper, I didn't buy more ice cream. I'm out of ice cream. So yes, very sad.
We just got ice cream. I'm so happy. Alrighty, date. Yes, Spectrum, you can send me things, but I'm not even like planning it out. Hi everyone! Star Citizen Alpha 3.21 update. Star Citizen Alpha 3.21 has been released to the PTU. The primary reason for the nomenclature change from 3.20.1 to 3.21 is to signify Star Citizen approaching the last major milestone, in its online networking technology. During the 3.21 patch cycle, we will introduce a new testing channel aimed at graduating new underlying technology. This new channel allows the dev teams to get players on a version of the game that matches the current live release in both content and features, but that introduces large tech changes that must be validated, graduated, and ultimately mission proven before making their way to the live release. The first project to enter this new technology preview channel is the Replication layer, which is a core network part of the server meshing infrastructure. In this update, the game's networking replication and state are separated from the game server into its own service. Game clients are connected to the new service, and game servers itself become the client with authority on the replication layer. The replication moving off the game server, the team is hoping to begin testing server recovery without disconnecting game clients from the universe state on the given shard. In short, this is the next step towards testing components of server meshing after deploying PES, or Persistent Entity Streaming, earlier this year. For the time being, the game server will only be managing the stand system, so you won't notice much of a change in your experience. However, this is a critically important step as we progress towards Alpha 4.0 and beyond. We'll share more information about 3.21 in our upcoming roadmap update next week. And you can look ahead to CitizenCon for more information about the preview channel and how it will play a vital role in further bringing our shared universe to life. Our shard universe to life. I'll get there eventually.
I was waiting for the toilet to finish doing its thing in the background.
Oh, okay.
The guest bathroom is right over there.
Ah.
So yeah, very important post from the guy in charge of these things. And with replication moving off the game servers, like we were talking about, the team is hoping to begin testing server recovery without disconnecting game clients from the universe state on a given game shard. And if we go back to the post-mortem over here, down here in this paragraph, we learned a lot from the launch of PES, and while we are still recovering and regret the compromised service in the first days and weeks of the rollout, it has definitely taught us a valuable lesson to value and preserve the integrity of the service more than we had in the past. That's why as we begin to roll out the replication layer split and crash recovery, two things now enabled by PES, we will do so gradually And as we begin to deliver server meshing, we will create dedicated testing channels to harden those new technologies further and implement standards and thresholds before we graduate them to PTU and then live. You'll start to see the ramifications of that later in the year and hear more from us later about our new approach to deploying potentially disruptive and game-changing new tech to the game service. But it comes down to us truly committing to preserving the experience for the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who now play Star Citizen as a live service game, albeit an alpha still in development. And so this is where Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And for those who... And this is one of the times, not really reading between the lines, but understanding what he's actually talking about is... I don't know who... Whatever they're talking about, I don't know who wrote it. Is they are... No. They did not say Star Citizen is a live service. They said people who play it like it is a live service. There's a specific difference there. There was a leaked internal email from Aaron Roberts that said, hey, Starfield's great. We love Starfield. But we need to shut up and build a game that people are willing to play when they realize they want to play Starfield with friends. Because that's what Star Citizen can be for them. So they want that there's been an entire shift within the company to get Star Citizen to, one, be averagely playable, to get mostly big bugs out, and to retain the sacredity, the performance in the live build. And that's exactly what he's saying right there, is they want to make sure, they want to pull testing away from the main live alpha into these testing channels. So PTU, Evocati, and now this new testing technology channel. Stability, sure. And so their live build ends up being more like a live game than a live testing channel. Testing happens in the back rooms. Their front end is the stable, playable, you can log on and do your dailies.
It's almost like you've been talking about this thing specifically for a year and a half.
No.
Naz has never made this suggestion. This is not a conversation that we've had.
I need to work on bringing out my game dev self a little bit more. Like, you got your medical and military experience. Other people have like different. Paul's history teacher. Like, I need to like, guys, I've been like learning about game dev, like everything but going to school and building professionally. I know what I'm talking about, at least a little bit. And people, and like, I also get the bonus of being in the trenches with the community. There's a lot of people, like Salty Mike. He doesn't really want... Salty! He doesn't really want testing. He wants the game. So he would love, I assume, to play a bug-free game, and when he wants to help the game, because he's having so much fun in the live build, to go... Salty Mike! Oh, no. Should put another A at the beginning. Anyway, then you can go over in the testing zones. But the game, like I said, I don't have one because I'm terrible at getting projects done. I've done a couple things in Blender, and I have a pick up the papers in on itch.io. I don't really do stuff because I don't finish projects, but like I said, I've done everything but. And like, leave the game in a playable state and fix the stuff on elongated PTU patches and then bring it over into the game. And you get both parties by doing that. You get your testers doing the testing, and you get your diehard players playing.
Yeah.
And
the players will still end up doing testing because that's the only way you get things at scale. But things will be proven out in an incremental fashion more slowly and in a more controlled manner than what occurred with 318. And we talked about this on the captain's table. With 318 PES, they deployed all of PES and all of its service, almost all of the services that are part of it, in one big patch, and it was one big build. And so it's very difficult to separate what is causing the different issues when there's so many new things and new fundamental changes versus, hey, we've already validated the 321 patch. And yeah, there's bugs in it and everything, but they're gameplay bugs, feature bugs and everything. But we validated the patch, and now we're going to take this patch and we're going to make it capable of working in this separation of the replication layer environment. And then we're going to test that. So that way, anything new or different is most likely associated with that separation. And then they'll do the same thing with crash recovery. And we don't know what's happening with the login flow. I don't remember if that was updated or changed or not. But so this is
Did they come out?
I don't know if they did the most updated version. And I think that that might be getting rolled in with crash recovery, because that's what crash recovery is for. So that way, when you crash, you end up going into the right place. So we'll see. We'll be getting more information on this as we go in, but that's a good question. And I forget why I had this. Oh yeah, I had this letter from the chairman up because of this image. This is the image from the May of 2022 letter from the chairman. Here's the blown up version. Sorry, it's really bright and white, but
Like me.
Yeah. So PES launched, and then after that, splitting the DGS node, the server from the replication layer, and then we're going to need crash recovery in between here, and then we get to the tech preview of server meshing. And this is why when we were on Captain's Table, I was like, I think we're probably going to see a tech preview, and it's not going to be 4.0. It's going to be, this is the testing channel for server meshing, and it's on the 322 patch. And 322 has been validated. Crash recovery works. The separation of the replication layer works. And we have these features in, and we know these are the known issues. And now we're going to test server meshing and splitting the server meshing prototype on Stanton in the 322 patch in the testing channel. And that's the server meshing tech preview, and us testing that. And then once server meshing is validated, graduated, and all that stuff is when 4.0 will release. That's why I have that timeline. And this is why I have that timeline in my head that we talked about on Captain's Table of, this is, who knows how long this testing channel stuff will go. But because it's incrementally, if you look at it all in one, if we're starting this now at the beginning of Q3, and if you looked at how PES went essentially from Evo to release in 4 months, which with a much bigger piece of technology and more services, and had a lot of issues, then if we take 6 months, maybe 7 months or so, in this more controlled and this more slow, controlled and manner to test things out, that's very possible that we could be looking at 4.0 in end of Q1 towards the beginning of Q2 in 2024. That's just my best guess based off the process that they're doing this and what all they have to test. Citizen Scott, Captain's Table is the podcast with Astropub. Nazeris and I were on that. Literally, we wrapped up right before we finished this podcast.
We ate for 15 minutes, and we're here.
Yeah. And then there's, hooray, 4.0 server meshing, static server meshing. And here's where everybody's like, well, how much was broken? Well, a year and some change ago, this is the plan. The server mesh release is 4.0. This will be a static mesh of one single replication layer hybrid service, which is what it is, what it's going to be here in another month or so once they get the replication layer separated. attached to 4 DGS nodes, which is a dedicated game server nodes to simulate stand-in and pyro. And so essentially 2 for each, probably. And they'll probably just split the system in half. How they go about where they draw that line, we don't know. But I like Paul's idea of using the Air and Halo. You've got 2 planets out and 2 planets in. So who knows how they'll do it for pyro. But if you look at the unofficial road to dynamic server meshing, this is a great resource. Everything in here has a description if you click on it, and there's a crap ton of citations. It's just all the information you could ever want to know about server meshing, PES, and all the prerequisite technologies that have been developed over the years. This is it. So here's the hybrid service. This is the replication layer we have the replication layer. It's on the server right now, and they're calling it the hybrid service because it does more than what they plan on it doing in the future, and that's why there's replication layer v2, where they're going to break it off into even more services. But in this first separation version that they're working towards right now, that's what this is going to be. That's what this is going to be, the hybrid service. And so they have talked about the development of all these other different things. And so let's see. Crash recovery, this is where we're at, essentially. And they talked about the, forget where, it might have a different name, but they talked about the seed service or seeding service in development by, I forget which team. We just read about it in the monthly report that's being worked on. So we are getting real close. And so we don't know which of these services have already been implemented. We don't know which ones need to be tested. That's what we're going to need more information on going forward. But the way they talked about it before was that server meshing was only introducing 4 new services. So some of these things are already released and implemented, but we don't know exactly at what point in all of this all these things are. So anyway, yeah. So let's take a look at the comments from Benoit and Xylo from this post, because there's a whole bunch of them. And I think it's important to take a look at those because some of them are pretty illuminating. So the first one.
Tomorrow's going to be interesting.
We already talked about these things. This was in the postmortem. That's why I brought that up. So is the replication layer in now? The replication layer is in, but it's on the service. The separation of the replication layer from the dedicated game server is not in. So it's not in 321. Build that just released at PTU. The replication layer work will come separately on the preview channel, which will run in parallel. And when we feel it's ready, we'll migrate over to the servers in a 321.x patch. If that's the case, why is this PTU patch content only named 321 and not 320.x as originally considered? And we talked about that because they wanted to, it's signifying the next major tech milestone. But
basically, because the replication layer split is going to be going into a .x patch from here on out, it would have been on a 320.x if they didn't change it now.
Yep.
So they need to change it now so that when they get to that .x patch, it will still be called 321. It is the branch to which the tech will be added to.
Yes, exactly. The important part from this comment that I think a lot of people will also be interested in addition, there's more great content features coming to the 321 patch, which we'll share more on in the upcoming Roadmap Roundup and Patch Watch posts. So, yeah, patch watches are good. Keep an eye out for those. Those show off like the little hidden quality of life things that didn't get a tile on the release view, but are being included in the patch. So what we got in the Roadmap Roundup right now, maybe we'll get some more added right in the Roadmap Roundup right before CitizenCon. But then also keep an eye out for the patch watches, which should be coming out probably in the next week or so. So this is replying to something. So I think it's talking about crash recovery. Yeah, so crash recovery has been in since PES, but it's been in a per server system. With the new version of the replication layer, it's a standalone service that should in theory be able to migrate players from a crash server shard to a new spun up one without disconnecting the clients. It should be able to essentially eliminate server-side 30Ks, as when a server crashes you'll be automatically switched to a new server automatically without having to load back into the game. That's not from Balt, from Benoit. That's not quite accurate. For game server crash recovery, at the moment, we are aiming at keeping the clients connected while the game server restarts and reloads the state from PES replication layer. Game shard migration involves a lot more elements which we cannot include in this iteration. So, important piece of context there.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we can expect for crash recovery when they get see what we're aiming. This is what they're aiming for with the iteration that's coming up after the separation of the replication layer from the servers.
So basically, the game crash recovery is the server will die, and they'll close down that server and open a new server that is the server that they just killed off, that died.
Mm-hmm.
So it crashes, they then kill it and bring it back.
Yeah, you'll essentially stay connected.
Yeah, now you pause. You get this like in between worlds like pause as the game tries to remember what it was doing.
Yeah, it's not. See, he says your migrate players from a crash server shard. Shard migration is something different. This is just you're going to stay on the same shard, and they're going to spin up a new server while you remain connected.
They'll probably put in a UI saying, "Hey, your server died. We'll be right back."
Yeah,
because it's going to take a second for them to kind of like go in, end task, and start the startup sequence again until it actually comes back.
Yep.
Shard migration is going to be, and you're back.
Yep. Yeah, shard migration is essentially what happens when, a different server in that mesh takes over entity responsibility, entity authority, so that there is essentially almost no transition, seconds. Let's go down here. So if I understand the system correctly, then this separation should take a lot of load off the servers and open up a fair amount of resources on them. I know you have said we wouldn't see much difference. However, with this update, are we likely to see improvements in server-side systems such as AI, item and inventory handling, and maybe some improvements to desync issues if the servers achieve the target frame rates you guys have? Or will all that need meshing? Any info on what you guys are hoping this tech will improve would be nice to hear about. And Benoit says, we are expecting performance game on the game server, since the game server itself will no longer have to fan out messages. So essentially, it's no longer having to execute these things on the server. So that's processing power the server gets back. These commands to connected clients and manage the replication state itself. This is the replication layer's job. Running on Tech Preview with real player behaviors will allow us to quantify this gain, as well as identify areas of code that might prevent us from having a gain, which will need to be addressed before we graduate the replication layer separation for live. So essentially what they're saying is they expect there to be benefits and expect there to be performance improvements, and they're not going to release it to live until they get them. Let's see. So, this is just about the things moving over. Hey Zylo, just to clarify, the replication layer and technology preview channel will be enabled after 321 goes live, or can it be like a simultaneous thing? Goes live via testing. We'll share more information at our plans in the weeks ahead, starting with adding the 321 to the public roadmap Wednesday, and that's when they told us that they're going to start this testing channel after 321 goes live, not before. So we're not going to see it until after CitizenCon. Awesome. As long as it doesn't introduce new bugs and make us not play a certain part of the game, i.e. $500 Hull C, we are thrilled. That's the beauty of the technology preview channel. New underlying technology, which can be disruptive when first introduced, can be isolated in this space for proper testing until ready. The primary goal here is to better preserve the experience on the live servers. And I think this is the last one. Someone said, serious response. Exciting that they're finally actually moving toward meshing. Bitter, cynical response. I'm sure it has nothing to do with 320 imploding all over itself. It was just a couple days of issues, and this is the first, this is the first this is the first new branch since the 318 branch. So there was no expecting it to be perfect. And the fact that 320 launched as smoothly as it did compared to 318 and then 319, which were on the same branch, is impressive. That's a big milestone. Congratulations, everybody. They made lots of changes and lots of improvements. Both of those things happened in my brain at the same time. And then somebody replied, 320 didn't implode. It was mostly fine for the majority, except for some lost in-game ships. But if you played long enough, you'll know how unimportant that is, considering how easy it is to accumulate insane AUAC.
And most of the stuff was back in a couple days.
Yeah, it was just a hiccup that lasted for a couple days, and it was only for some people, and they found the issue and they addressed it. Problem solved. Compared to 318, 318.1, 318.2, 319, it wasn't until 319.1 that things really started to smooth out. And Benoit says the database systems issues we experienced on the first days of the 320 launch are separate from the replication layer work, the separation of it. We have parallel initiatives in the same tech group to deal with that and mitigations in place, which we hope will keep that system stable, mostly, the database system that holds the inventory data for all players, while more drastic measures take shape.
And some of those initiatives were actually outlined by Chris Roberts when he replied, and that's to do with not bunching up, not like everything you change must be sent to the replication, the PES. Like if you move a can, we need to send the data. So they're trying to bunch up and send slower, larger packets of data to the layer so that they're not always hitting the database at 1,000% capacity.
Yeah. And this is alluding to how they talked about they might be changing out the database engine that PES runs on. And so they are working, we have parallel initiatives in the same tech group to deal with that and mitigations in place, which we hope to keep that system stable. So they are working on addressing that on the same engine that they have now. And that's what Nazeris was just talking about. And if those things don't work out, then what they can do is they can move to a different database engine, which everybody's like, oh God, that'll take a year. No. That's not how the database engines work.
Yeah.
It'll
be you have one, you build the other one, and then you Indiana Jones slide it in.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull up the video again, and I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to put the link in chat for, race guide.
Yeah, it's because it's the same IO, input output. It will the database itself, you can change everything about it, but still inputs and outputs the same things. So if they need to switch it out, they can build a new one, buy a new one, whatever they need to do. And because it is a self-contained thing, except for what it inputs and outputs, which need to be the same thing as the one they already have. They just need the database to run better. Just swap it out.
Yeah,
after
it's going from one graph database engine to a different graph database engine. The database itself doesn't change. The engine that it runs on does. And that's Ray of Ray's Guide does a great job explaining it in that video as he breaks down what Chris Roberts said in that post. So that's where
Nice.
that's what this comes from. But there should be no doom and gloom from the mentions of that in that Chris Roberts post. So I think that they're going to be just fine. I think that they're just going to continue to iterate on it, and it'll get it to work how they want. They'll get the support from the company that made that database engine, because otherwise they'll lose that contract, and probably owe CIG money. So it behooves them to get it fixed. It's not I think it's more a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
And they're already working on it, and they've got their people and the database engine companies people working on it.
Welcome to Alpha. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to Alpha. Yep. But yeah, so that is the last one. Balt, in this update, the game's networking, replication, and state are separated from the game server into its own service. Isn't it the hybrid service then? Hybrid service right here. Correct. We refer to the replication layer as the hybrid at the moment because in its current configuration, it does a bit more roles. And so that's the thing that I'm a little bit confused on. Is it the hybrid right now and then it's going to be the replication layer, or is it the replication layer and then it's going to be the hybrid? I'm not. And what are they saying right now, as in what they're getting ready to test? I'd have to go back and read about this more. But
well, what is that? What does it say currently on the tile?
Hybrid service. Challenges for all the server meshing functionality to come online. The newly created service has to come online. The newly created services have to come online. With such complex interconnected services and infrastructure, the complexity is quite high. Create a new service that sits on its own server in between the player clients, the game servers, and the entity graph database. Is responsible for the OCS loading decisions, state networking, caching, persisting, initial game world seeding, and managing of entity authority and authority transfers.
Okay, so that last bit, managing entity authority and authority transfer, that's Atlas.
Yeah.
So
that's what it says. Approach goals. Bring the new services called Atlas, Replicant, Gateway, and Scribe online, but without the overhead of having to manage and coordinate all of these on their own servers already, and instead reduce the complexity infrastructure and infrastructure overhead for the initial versions by having all services run on the same server. So I think
sounds like we currently have the hybrid, and will be transitioning off the hybrid into a replication layer only.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Unobtainium's going to need to swap these two out.
Yeah, I think so too.
Or
update the description.
We found out a new thing.
Yeah, that's
and
the
this
way
is
I'm reading
super
it
new.
too. Yeah.
So I'm sure he's trolling these forums, looking for it.
Yeah.
Probably ping him later.
Yeah, but otherwise, the rest of this is accurate and tracks.
Yeah, and if you just want the raw data, just go to sources. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
There's hundreds of sources.
Citations, lots of them. And I love citations. Because that's the world that I live in, in real life.
Spatial netcode R&D, gosh dang.
Yeah, that is it for the comments section of that post. But we both thought it would be really, it would help a lot to cover this post and the comments within it to help provide some clarity as to what's going on in context with the Roadmap Roundup and what CR said, which we covered in the last podcast. So it all comes together, It's all,
It's all one, man.
It's all one thing, man. So let's talk about 321.
Why don't we?
Because I know you've been dying to talk about 321.
We have your images here, and the map looks so much better when not everything's on the plane. I forget what it's called.
Ecliptic.
It makes everything look so much better. Anyway, please, CIG, please, God, please, Chris, freaking give us the map. Anyway, so you also have screenshots of the pyro jump point, not pyro, the Terra jump point in here. Now I see what you mean by too many stations. Yeah, that looks like a mess. As long as they like use them all, I won't be upset. But like, how they gonna? Yeah, mess. Anyway, 3.21. I assume we're going with the 3.21. What's in it? Talk is that the plan here?
Well, so
Very little like the act. You have just
little conversation in relation to like the fire putting out that we've been doing in order to manage expectations.
Okay, so just to lead the conversation, it's not pyro.
We're not getting pyro, folks. Here's
If
the bucket of cold water.
Yeah, if we were getting pyro, we'd be getting Terra and Magnus too. Because pyro was not the only jump point they put in. They also put in Magnus and Terra. They put them in, and if you want to go to the monthly report, we can, because that is like the context. They just horsed it kind of, and they just didn't really tell anyone what they were doing until after they had already done it.
Oh, Star Jump Grim just raided with a party of 26. Grim, thanks for the raid. Thanks for coming and joining us. Hope you are doing well. Thank you for coming and saying hey. We're in the last segment of the podcast where we're just talking about the 321 and setting expectations. Yeah, we're having a good show. We're going over the Roadmap Roundup for October 4th and the progress tracker. And some of the issues with the lack of updates to the progress tracker. We went over the post from Benoit about the replication layer separation that's going to be going on in 321.x and what that all means and all the comments and context for that. And now we're talking about 321 and managing expectations for what it means, what having those jump points in there is all about.
So under the economy team, in the latest monthly report,
was that the latest one?
There are some absolutely gorgeous images. We get a road look at the UGF. We get a med kit. Some new UI for salvage. It looks absolutely fantastic. As I'm looking for the stupid category. Nope. Where'd it go? Wait, was that last once? I swear, it's right here. Oh, because I keep seeing engine, not economy. Okay, right above engine, the economy team. First line, the economy team set up. Again, the economy team set up shops at 3 jump point stations. Who done this? The economy team, not the landing zone team, not the server meshing team. The economy team set up shops at 3 jump point stations to provide specifically the Hull C and cargo ships with additional trade routes. That's it. Done. Send it in. They also worked on rebalancing commodity trading and Stanton and Pyro as part of a larger initiative to improve gameplay experience for hullers and traders. So that is, they are preparing for not necessarily simulation. I'm not gonna do that much copium. But they are preparing to balance both a full Pyro and a full Stanton. Is their large kind of objective right now. So they have all the stuff in Pyro on the internal build, and they're gonna balance all that. So when Pyro comes out, we'll have this nice motionful ebb and flow between Pyro and Stanton. And that will just get better and better as we turn on Quantum and get more planets and more landing zones.
Yep. Yeah, the patch dropped and people, we got the data mines and leaks.
Their mind.
And they're like, wait, why are the jump points in? Oh, Pyro soon, 4.0 soon, server meshing soon, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait, what? Why are you, how everybody's thinking that? And we got the post-mortem. we got the post from CR, we got the everything else saying the post from Benoit, and everybody's like, yeah, it's coming soon, this is happening soon. And it's like, no, they just got done telling you in 3 different places that we're going to roll these things out incrementally and we're taking our time. And they're like, no, we're going to get Pyro. They'll just change it. And it's like, no, they've been telling us Pyro and server meshing R1 at 4.0 for years. And if they were going to just release Pyro and you log in and you pick out Pyro as your landing zone or whatever, they would have done that ages ago. Not happening. But people think that jump point equals Pyro, and that's not the thing. It's
and chat said that
right here.
Terra and Magnus haven't been linked with 4.0 and hyped for 60 years. That's my point. People are using the jump point stations being added to say, "Oh, Pyro's next," but they added two other jump points in, and they're not saying, "Oh, these systems are next." Obviously, because they haven't been talked about in 6 years. So, if those don't mean those systems, then this doesn't mean that system.
But yeah, so this is the first patch, came out on September 29th. And then, we got data mined that they were in there, and then we were able to find, people manually flew to them, which is just nuts. And then when they officially got added in, with, let's see, it was the jump point, rest stop stations, and Lagrange points. Yeah. And so it's like I don't know if this isn't the most recent. I think there was 2 patches ago where it was official. But now you can jump to them and check them out, and they've had some fixes made to them so that the way they look good. Oh, Graham, don't worry about it. If you're still there, he's like, I think my raid failed. No, it's there. It worked. Yeah. But yeah, so now we can go to them. This is why the economy team put this in there, not only to have the whole sea. Not only to have the whole sea be able to have more places to go do trading stuff in the short term, which is great for them, but also, like Naz is saying, having those jump points with a cargo or the cargo deck at those jump point stations allows the economy team and Quantum to simulate a much wider economy by having things coming in from simulated systems, because they don't have to build the star system for Magnus or Terra in the game for it to be in Quantum. They just have to put the data points in there that say this is produced here, blah, blah, blah. And this would be going, they can generate the simulation in advance of those systems being added to the game and have that simulation run through those jump point stations. So, hey, this stuff is going to be getting shipped to Terra. And so you will put it on your ship and you'll take it from wherever and you'll drop it off at that jump point station to Terra, and vice versa, coming from Terra and into Stanton, and Magnus and such. And then in the not too distant future, we'll have Pyro, and that station will be the last, point before you go into Pyro to have support, for moving cargo, for doing refining. I forget who made that point where we're probably not going to have refinery stations in Pyro. So you're going to have to bring your stuff back and refine it. That'll be the first place that you can refine when you get back into the Stanton system. Yeah.
So they said, why would they add those 3 points to do exactly the same every other station does? Why do we have so many outposts? Why is there 5 mining outposts on Selin? All you need is 1. Why are there moons for every planet? You only just need 1. Why are there so many planets? You only just need 1. Same logic here. They put them in to make game loops, to make a game world. Yeah. You have the whole sea now. They want to use the whole sea, and so they put in places to use the whole sea. Mm-hmm.
That's the temporary.
You could even
benefit.
You could even use the logic, admittedly stupidly, that why would you put in multiple rocks for mining? You just need 1. That's the absurd angle of how far you can take that kind of logic. But It's there to add variety, to give choice, to build the same game loop larger. So all we have currently is like two commodities per station that we can move.
Mm-hmm.
These jump point stations give us tons, and they all are very saturated.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like you can get almost enough iron, or you have to like half fill with iron and stims or something. Like, there's full of commodities.
Yeah, the
The
jump point
points have more
stations.
significance. Sure, just not now. They were put in by the economy team for the economy. They will have gameplay later.
Yeah, they'll have more. It allows them to simulate more with quantum eventually.
This is not the end. This is the
But
beginning.
but in the short term, I mean, they could make it so, because I'll pull up the image, and I really hope that they'll update this image, when 321 launches, but it's the one from the whole C release.
All right, so for sure, like, there will definitely be some balances, but like we're simulating, and I imagine we'll get a lot more character in what the numbers actually end up. Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm. So they could add, we already have these commodities for the whole sea. They could add in different commodities that come from Magnus, and maybe only certain one of these things go to the Magnus jump point, and certain things come in for the Magnus jump point, and vice versa for Terra, and even vice versa for Pyro. And that it's not additive to this; it's multiplicative. Multiplicative.
Yeah.
And so the amount of options for whole sea owners goes up dramatically just by adding in those 3 jump points with the cargo decks, and potentially a few different commodities from these ones. Some of these would go there, some of these would go there. Some would come in from here and go to here. Some of them would come in from go to here. So yeah. Socially confused. What are you asking me to link? I'm happy to.
North End Trooper got you.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And this is then compounded by the also very closely present freight elevators and being able to store commodities in the hangar.
Bingo.
Because all of these dotted lines on this image, you can move to a main station and then use your whole C to move them to a jump point station.
Yep.
So it creates much more gameplay than we actually even have in 321.
This is why we so badly need the progress tracker update with the economy team's schedule.
Yep.
Because this is bigger than people realize. And then the jump point stations being added to it is even more so. Northern Trooper, what would that look like? I don't know. Lots of circles.
Lots of circles.
More circles.
It would look more like a stock trade, like the UEX or Trade Helper. I forget what it was. I forget what the other one was. And less like circles.
Yeah.
These are people are buying, these people are selling.
Yeah, and who knows how they'll describe the deliverables and what their plans are, but that's the, and Jake totally teased Nazeris and I when he told us about the economy team. And he's like, oh yeah, what did we say? He's like, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tease, and you guys are going to theory craft like crazy. And we did, and here we are, and we're still waiting to get whatever deliverables they put on there,
Okay, so how's that proof we're not getting Pyro?
We are not getting Pyro because server meshing isn't
out. Yeah, we just
we already
lined
talked
out
about this.
the steps before Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people who just put in this. Like, if that's not convincing enough, then you won't be convinced. So,
yeah, we already talked about the replication layer and its separation and crash recovery and all those things that are prerequisites to server meshing. And Pyro isn't coming out before server meshing. If it was going to come out before server meshing, they would have already released it. They already talked about how, yes, we could just make it so that way you log into a separate server. One's running Pyro, one's running Stanton. They're not connected. And they talked about, yeah, we could do that. They talked about how they could fake it, and they decided not to. Right. So when's it coming then? We don't know. We guessed that on Captain's Table. We were like,
Yep.
you know,
My guess was Q3 next year. What was yours?
I'm thinking
no one question.
End of Q1.
That's the fun thing about
into Q2.
Community stream. Yeah, that's the fun thing about community streams. We take the win questions and just throw out whatever number comes to our head. Unfortunately, like CIG has obligations after they throw out numbers like that by some people who want them to hang on every letter they say.
Yeah, I think CIG is definitely aiming to have it out before Invictus launch week, because Invictus launch week is a giant event that brings in a ton of people and a ton of money, and it's probably the biggest free fly right now.
I think that's exactly why they would skip it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they could. But you know,
I don't know how many other people. I know Mike's been saying this. Salty Mike has been saying this for like years. Like, don't do big patches before events.
Yeah.
So they'll.
Yeah,
so I
April,
assume they'll just like let 322 or 323 with like whatever early year content they have pass by Invictus, and then they'll drop the server meshing crap.
There is no feature for me to think that 4.0 and server meshing is around the corner. The indication of when it will be is the tech. It's all about the tech. And so we'll have a better idea of when server meshing, as what we've talked about with the testing of the replication layer separation, when we see how that goes, when we see how the crash recovery goes, and when we get more updates as to, is it just those two things? Or is there another piece of tech coming before that? Because here we are. Here's static server meshing. This is the hybrid service. The names are swapped right now, but this is what we're waiting for. Yeah, so we don't know.
I wonder if it'll be replication layer after static.
Well, there's replication layer V2. There's.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, so the replication layer separation is necessary for static, and they talk about crash recovery as well. We already have a form of crash recovery, but the crash recovery that is made possible by separation of the replication layer is also needed for static server meshing. It's
correct.
Replication layer, then the updated crash recovery, and then most likely static server meshing, because they have not said anything else about any other services. These are the things that we know about.
Yes.
And so the when 4.0, when server meshing can't really be more reliably answered until we know how that testing channel progress goes.
And it's the two tech that we're talking about, or three tech, I guess. The replication layer split, the crash recovery, and server meshing are not tied to patches. So we can't say, oh, that's 3 patches, done. They are going to be off to the side in this testing channel. When they are done, they will be added to whatever the current patch cycle is. If that takes 1 patch, then we get it in the next patch. If it takes 2 patches, we'll get it in the 2 patches.
Yep.
It's not, because they're not going to do the thing they did with 318 and say, well, we got to kick it out someday. Might as well be now. And then we get the implosion of the entire year.
Yeah.
They're going to hold
on
it
jump
off.
Points, and they've been working on that tech. And I think one of the things that will get demoed at CitizenCon will be like, hey, this is what transitioning a jump point looks like. And this is what the jump point tunnels look like, and etc. This is how it's changed since 4 years ago. Do you think the Zarek Master says, do you think the removal of prices and location from game files, do you think that indicative of a big economy size at CitizenCon? I don't know what you're talking about.
Urkel going down. and all of the store data
Oh.
being moved to server side.
No, the
Indicative? I wouldn't say indicative, but it gives CIG the authority to be able to change them on the fly.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
is something they need to get done to make everything work by quantum.
Yep.
And the more data mining gets removed from the game, the better the game will be.
Yeah, hopefully, it depends on where they. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that's indicative of a big economy surprise. I think we are definitely due for a big economy update because they've been mentioning the systemic services and tools team and quantum and the tools and services within quantum in the monthly reports, but only vaguely. And so, and now all of a sudden we have an economy team, and we've only heard a little bit about it. So
I will very
due for
much
an update.
enjoy the day when Pipeline/SC Leak's job is no longer data mine every patch, and it's go find your sources and get actual leaks. And at that point, I'll stop listening to them. But they data mine and they find stuff, and I, as a content creator, it behooves me to know before anyone else.
Well, and the
I mean, Zeconomy.
the other thing with the things not being able to be data mined, when they add a new system or add something new to the game, if it's able to be data mined, then there is no exploration. There is no discovery. There's no surprises. It's, okay, what's the differences in this patch versus the last patch? Now we know where everything is. That's how they found the jump points, because they were data mined. And so if they are able to...
I don't know if they've looked at it, but I know Microsoft Star Wars Flight Simulator. What the heck is in my brain? Microsoft Simulator did a server-side streaming method that kept the mesh data on the server. So you had to play it online. You could get a box set like a year or two into the game's life, and it was like an 8-disc game. You had to get like a box of discs to play it because it was literally the Earth amount of mesh data. It's basically like trying to download Google Earth, but from Microsoft. And so you could like have stuff updated, and because the server owned the meshes, they would just stream it to you. So I don't know if they're looking at that sort of thing, but that would be a way to keep mesh and location data on the server.
Yep. So I just wanted to share a few images that I think are interesting from a sort of lore and gameplay perspective. So this is generated after we first found the location, the locations where the jump points were first data mined. And you can see that here's the Pyro jump point. It's essentially west of Arc Core. And here's the Magnus jump point. And it's essentially northwest of Crusader, west by northwest. And here's the Terra jump point, which is northeast of Arc Core and southeast of Microtech, essentially. And you can see that they're pretty far out. The Magnus jump point, in terms of where it is relative to Microtech's orbit, and even the Terra jump point is a pretty good ways out from the Microtech orbit, and also from the nearest quantum location. So here's Arc L3, long ways out to Magnus from here. Here's Arc L4, which is a good ways out from the Terra jump point. And you can see that the locations are actually similar but different. And obviously this is on the Arc star map, and so things are not accurate here, but the planets are also supposed to orbit. And so we don't know. It's interesting because in the star map, the jump points don't have orbit, like a little ring showing your orbit. But here, this is the in-game star map.
I imagine that's for readability, though.
Yeah, it could be for readability, which I think helps a lot. Like this is a quality of life thing for me. It helps a lot. But you can see that the Stanton Pyro jump point is off the ecliptic and has a orbit. Here's the Stanton Terra jump point, also off the ecliptic. And here's the Stanton Magnus jump point, way off the ecliptic and way farther out. But yeah, but we know so little about jump points in lore, how they work and all that. We don't know if they orbit or not, or if they are fixed, in relation to the star. I think it'd be great if they orbited, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I think it would have merit either way, because jump points aren't a gravitational anomaly as far as I know. I could be completely wrong.
So wormhole,
it's
and so how much do we really know about how wormholes
Their
work?
lack of mass, they're not added mass as far as I know. I could be completely wrong in the sci-fi here. I will get steamrolled if I am.
Yeah, Sherry Heiberg, please explain.
They are gravity things? Because my understanding was they were like an empty straw. They weren't a thing, and they were fixed. That's why you had the Bermuda Triangle event, where it always was in the same spot stealing cargo haulers.
I don't know.
Not anti-grav, just not applied to gravity, I guess. Like they're immaterial.
And by
Nothing is
Masters,
fixed in the
I
universe.
mean fixed in relation to the star, because the star is orbiting the center of the galaxy, which is orbiting all that sort of stuff. But in that they don't rotate around the star, they are in a fixed position relative to the star. In the game, we don't know, because it just eventually the planets and moons are supposed to orbit, of course, but if the jump points orbit as well, things get real interesting with the economy and with traversal of systems and getting where you're going real fast. And the CIG the CIG can make it however they want, in their universe, but the another interesting thing is that the level off the ecliptic for the jump points on the star map is actually pretty accurate, and the location of the Stanton Terra jump point and the Stanton Magnus jump point is actually pretty accurate relative to the star map. There is some changes, but otherwise it's fairly close. Oh
yeah,
god, that looks good.
Neither of the jump point articles on the Galactopedia say anything about gravity or not gravity. Superliminal space. So superliminal space would give reason to say that they're not part of normal space.
Yeah, Lethargian makes a good point. They have to be mobile and pulled by gravity because there is the Min system, which is not really, there's no star. And so there's some that they are somehow attached, I'm assuming by gravity, to a body, because the Min system is anchored by a gas giant. The question is, do they orbit around the thing that they are anchored to by gravity? Don't know. I do not
Jerry.
have. Yeah, I am a space game nerd. I am not a astronomer or astrophysicist in any way, shape, or form. That is something else. I grabbed a few of these images of the jump points just because, oh my god, that is gorgeous. And the fact that they pulse with light, just like in the Carrick video that is our waiting room video for the podcast, which, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I never noticed it, but the other Lagrange points don't do that. Naz, do you know?
No, they don't. They're static.
Yeah. So, like, to me, that's a huge change.
One of two things.
Yeah.
It's either a thing because it's a jump point cloud, not a normal gas cloud. It's specific anomaly. Which I have a problem with them being so flashy. Like, how do you miss that? How did they this weird gas cloud keeps eating ships? No.
I don't know. Paul hypothesized on this and he put it in a Twitter post, and I don't know if it was hypothesized or if he found some lore
Magic.
But the way he was like, I'm pretty sure it's because these gas clouds form from us constantly opening and closing these things. Because otherwise, you just scan for a giant, nebulous gas cloud and then go find a jump point within it.
Like if it has like the gravity like rings and yes, that would support gravity. It does look like it has gravitational magnetic rings. What's the term for it? The magnetic sphere. They do look like they have magnetic spheres.
The lore team has some splaining to do.
Very much so.
A lot.
I hope we get a jump point lore panel.
And that's a Aether Drift to make another good point. The Lagrange points don't have any orbits or anything like that. Because those are fixed in relation to their position between the two anchors, the planet and the star.
They orbit exactly with the planet.
Yeah, they orbit exactly with the planet. They don't orbit around the planet.
Yeah.
But they don't have the lines, which the jump points do.
Old star map, don't read too much into it. That's where I am.
Well, no, these ones do. The old star map. So who knows? There's a lot of splaining to do. The last thing I wanted to bring up is, and I forgot to get an image, but I was just at the Magnus jump point the other night, and I noticed that the Magnus jump point has way less infrastructure around this is the lane that you get in to go to the jump point. The Magnus jump point has way less infrastructure than the Terra jump point. And the Terra jump point, like as cool as the jump point itself, the gas cloud looks, I feel like the infrastructure around it looks cluttered.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was set up with reason.
Yeah, it doesn't look organized, and it doesn't look like it was planned by people from Terra.
Or Stanton. It looks like whoever and whatever wanted to pull up and build a station, pulled up and built a station wherever there was room. It looks like a trailer park.
Yeah, look at all that. It looks, it's not.
And what do those
having all this
do?
hair?
Nothing.
We don't know about these. We don't know anything about these structures. I'm assuming they have to do with customs. Because it's right here, essentially in front of where the jump point will be. But they're just they feel like they're placed haphazardly.
These are also exactly what we saw in 2019.
Yeah.
Could it be their placeholders? Absolutely. Stations are not done yet. Like as much of stations that we have, there's a lot of content they still want to build for stations.
Yep.
So these may completely change as we get more modules for interior, exterior of stations.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that we will be interacting with these, and not just the station. Like, I don't think these are just set dressing. I think that these are going to have function. Just don't know what that function is.
I would imagine, depending on the size of jump point, there will also be a lot of docking area.
Yeah.
Because
I think that this is going to be the customs area. Like, you're going to have to, go here to declare, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep.
But that's everything that I had for 321. What the fuck? Nazeris, you made that post on Spectrum, and I've been making comments on Twitter and such, and talking in the Discord, and I just thought it'd be good to go over what we know about 321, what's in it, what these jump points most likely signify, and what they don't, in order to sort of help set expectations appropriately, but also to appreciate how cool these are. Because I think that, we should be excited about these. And I think that they do add to the game in a pretty big way now that we have the whole sea and more economy stuff coming. I don't think that, it's a sign of, impending pyro, but I think it's something definitely to be excited about. And it's more locations, in the game, which is, always a good thing. But I just thought it'd be worth a conversation to talk about. But it is 10:20, and Nazeris and I have been podcasting for over 6 hours. So I think it's, Naz, unless you have anything else you want to talk about, I think it's about time for us to wrap up the show. And everybody who's hanging out still in chat, I just want to say thank you for joining us and being a part of the stream. Thank you for everyone who came over from Grimm's stream, for everyone who came over from the Captain's Table. We just appreciate all of your support and appreciate everybody hanging out. If you haven't given me a follow here on Twitch, I would really appreciate it if you give me a follow. It helps bring more people to the shows and the podcasts and the content. Check me out on YouTube and give a subscribe over there. It helps the algorithm, and all that helps bring monetization to stackup.org. Go check out Nazeris over on the Nova Forge on Twitch and YouTube. And check out the Star Citizen Content Creators Roundtable tomorrow at what time again?
8 p.m. EST.
8 p.m. EST. And if you're still hanging out, let's pick somebody to raid. I need a suggestion. Always got to pay it forward, especially because we got so much support coming into the show tonight. Raid suggestions, anybody?
The only two people I have followed are Carbon Tails and Super Penguin.
Anyone playing Star Citizen that we can send some support to?
So while they're finding
Raid Shadow Legends.
okay, I see here.
But
so yeah, the people we got for the roundtable tomorrow are Hey, it's Nick, Hoban from my Star Citizen org, me, and Tomato.
Oh, cool, awesome. I'll try and tune in while I'm making dinner and doing bath time or something. Let's see. Yeah, thanks so much for the support, Aether Drift. Oop.
Thank you. You should just leave it on your desktop.
No
it's
suggestions.
such a good.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
It's such a good shot.
Such a good shot. Such a great concept art.
Carbon Tails at underscore GIP. Yeah.
Carbon Tails. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll raid Carbon Tails. They're playing Star Citizen. Go check them out. Send them some
Doing
love.
some pew-pews.
Pew-pews. All right. Raid's almost ready.
And please send me put a link to that image in your Discord, please.
I'll PM it to you right now. All right. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Love you. Goodbye.
Bye.